Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video where today we'll be using AYATO in the 4.5 Spiral Abyss. Now, a lot of people have basically dropped AYATO in favor of Neuvillette, but I am here to show you that there is no need to do that. So what we'll be doing in today's video is we will be using AYATO in a hypercarry team, kind of how you would normally have a Neuvillette team. So instead, we will be using obviously AYATO, as well as yelan and furina, alongside Jean, just, your casual monohydro furina buffing team. And then on the second half, we will be using Neuvillette, but we will be using Neuvillette in a hyper bloom team, just because it's a good single target team. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. Alright, and here we are in the first chamber. We do get ourselves a max HP buff, which will be useful for our damage obviously on this team, since yelan and furina do scale off HP. Now, I think AYATO's C1 gives him partial HP scaling. I think he has some in his kit, but basically it's basically nothing. But anyway, here, just the nice thing about this team is just how many numbers we see. Like, we get the numbers from AYATO's ult, from AYATO's skill, from yelan's ult, from furina's little buddies to yeah, there's so many numbers in this team, and they're not small numbers either. They're pretty substantial numbers. So yeah, if we look here, we're hitting about 14 to 18k on AYATO's skill, I would say, something around there. And it's basically 10k plus on every single hit we do, and we do a crazy amount of hits. Now, luckily for the Fatui operatives, these guys, although one of them looks Hydro, they're actually Cryo, so yeah, Cryo and Animo, fortunately, not Hydro, otherwise we would be having many problems here right now. Now, just the main thing is we want to try hit them at the same time, and one of them does get frozen, which is obviously a nice addition. Now, so just the nice thing about having Hydro against some cryo enemies, sometimes they'll just freeze themselves randomly, which, I will always take. The annoying thing is Jean is knocking them around like crazy, so I'm sure I could optimize this a little bit by positioning them in a way where I knock them towards each other. These guys can get a bit annoying if they get spread out. Also, another thing we do want to do is stay inside AYATO's ults, because I'm pretty sure he gives us a normal attack. It's either a normal attack or a hydro damage bonus. I think Ganyu gives a cryo damage bonus, and then AYATO gives us a normal attack damage. Now, we are trying to conserve energy here, hence why I haven't gone for a full 90-second clear. I've allowed myself to be a bit slower. But our second half, even though this boss is Dendro and a lot of our damage is coming from Hyper Bloom, first of all, Hyper Bloom does crazy damage, even though this thing has high Dendro res, so don't really need to worry about that. And obviously, Neuvillette just has crazy base damage in his own kit. We're only doing 18k ticks here because we don't have furina, although I do think we have... Actually, no, I don't think we have all 3 stacks of his passive. We might have 2 stacks. If not even 1, it might be 1. Okay, it's definitely 2 or 3 now, so... I'm just not really certain what it is. We should be able to see here-ish. No, mind, because it doesn't trigger again. Okay, we're on 2... Yeah, we're doing 24k damage with 2 stacks, which, all things considered, is pretty good. Now, the thing with this team is, obviously, Neuvillette. We are going to conserve energy here since we are basically done. Nahida has so much Dendro application that it's hard to get Hydro application, which also makes it harder to get decrystallized from Zhongli. So we're basically staying on about 2 stacks on Neuvillette the entire time. But yeah, that's it for the first chamber, and it's on to the second chamber. Okay, and here we are on the second half, where we get a pretty nice crit buff. Now, our AYATO is already on 100 crit, so we are slightly overcapping there, but the crit damage is nice. It's also nice for all our little sub DPS. We are nearly dying to burning here, which isn't ideal whilst I'm trying to talk. And then also it is useful for our Neuvillette on the other half, although the Hyper Bloom itself won't crit. Now, the one thing about this team is that it is slightly more single target centered than it is AoE. There is actually another variant of this team you can play with furina, where you play like AYATO and then yelan and then Xingqiu or Kokomi, and then you have Kaza for grouping, which obviously is another good team variant. The damage is pretty similar, I believe, although this one would be slightly stronger in single target, I feel. But yeah, that is also a good alternative for grouping. It is just nice to have this variant on the team, because I can play my AYATO on Marshall, whereas in that team I would not be able to. And Marshall is just a nice artifact to set. It's a great artifact set, so might as well use it if we can. Now, the thing is, this team is still pretty strong in AoE. I mean, as you can tell right here from Aito's slashes and the ult, Aito's got pretty decent AoE just in his base kit, so yeah, I mean, we honestly don't even need a grouper here. Now, obviously, yelan and furina are slightly better in single target, just considering the nature of their coordinated attacks, but, you know, they get the job done. We do luckily take out the big guy, so I think we don't have to worry about the little earthquake things anymore, and we kill those guys pretty handily there as well. So yeah, I mean, the damage on this team is good, the area coverage is pretty decent, and we finished it in 90 seconds in a more single target centered team. Now obviously we could swap these teams around. Like, this Neuvillette team is actually pretty decent in AoE, although Hyper Bloom is more of a single target reaction. And then the AYATO team would probably be stronger on this half. But, you know, it is what it is. We're probably going to kill the PMA here pretty handily, I would assume at least. Our cooldown is slightly off there on our cookie, but it should be no problem. Never mind, we have a few more hyper blooms we can trigger. Our rotation is slightly off here, but it should be fine. We can basically reset all of it by the time the enemies spawn, and there we go. Now, which one is it going to be? Alright, it's going to be this guy. Now, he just needs to settle down so I can apply Nahida's mark on him. Our cookie needs to not die. Obviously, that would be quite handy. And now here, we just take these guys out, basically. Once again, 24k because we do have 2 stacks instead of 3 stacks. Although now, this guy's resistances are lowered, so we're doing some pretty big damage to him. Now, I will just know that skill here, and we do catch the particles, which is nice. We should have our ult for the second half, or third chamber rather. And speaking of the third chamber, let us move on to that right now. Alright, and here we are in the third chamber where we get another crit buff. So once again, our Neuvillette's eating good. He got 16 extra crit rate. Our AYATO is very overcapped now on crit rate, but the 30 extra crit damage is nice. Now, our AYATO should be very strong when it comes to this half, because this is obviously a single target focus boss, so all our damage sources should be hitting him. If we look here, now that we have full furina stacks, we are hitting between like 13 and 18k, and in one rotation we've basically done half of this boss's HP. So we should be able to clear it in about a minute, I would assume at least. Now, thanks to, oh, okay, that's a fair bit of damage. I was gonna say our survivability here is quite nice thanks to our gene. Although we are draining some HP obviously from furina, so we are gonna be around half HP. My rotation was slightly messed up there. We actually could have probably finished this chamber in, I don't know, I'd say probably 15 seconds sooner if our rotation was more in sync, but anyway, we are still going to clear it with, I mean, like 35 seconds left for the recommended time, so we have plenty of time on the first chamber. And as you can see, just that first half is just really easy. The team is very strong with AYATO and furina. It is one of my favorite single target teams in the game. I mean, just one of my favorite teams in the game in general. I mean, it's literally just like do a couple of ults and then just success, because you get big damage after doing that. Now, this boss is quite easy for us because we do have Zhongli for his shield, for his pillar, and for his ult in order to take down this thing's geo shield. Obviously, you don't need to have those, but it just makes it much easier. I mean, okay, we don't have our ult here, but we still take out basically half of its HP just with Zhongli's pillar, so yeah, that's why I kind of like this team on this half, just because this isn't only a good single target team. Just having Zhongli here does make it nice for fighting against this boss right now. But yeah, as you can see, both these teams are incredibly strong. So if you say that Neuvillette, who's replaced AYATO, is the best Hydra DPS, I mean, with the addition of furina, I'd say AYATO is probably in the best state he is in right now, although he is obviously just replaceable and slightly worse than Neuvillette. But there is still a place for AYATO. All you AYATO lovers can rejoice, because he is still a very strong character in the game, and you can use him in basically whatever content you want, AoE or single target. As you can see, he's very good in both. So yeah, with that out the way, let us move on to the character builds. Alright, so when it comes to our character builds, obviously starting off with our AYATO, the star of the show, he is on 65 crit and 212 crit damage, which plus must say the phase 6 will go up to basically 101, 212, so basically 100 crit over 200 crit damage, and just a little bit of ER there so that we can get his ult consistently. Now we do have him on the black suit, so it isn't a full FTP build, and it explains why we are able to get 100 crit rate on him. I mean, obviously there are alternatives. You have his signature, and then I guess you could run Blackcliff on him, but yeah, that's just how I have mine built. And then he is on 4 March to say, obviously for the nice little Correct buff. I could put him on an off-piece. If I'm being honest, I think I forgot what off-piece I had him on, so... but our sub-stats are good enough anyway, so who cares. And his talents are 2-10-10. Our Yelan is on 60 crit, 172 crit damage, 197 ER, which is, if I'm being honest, way too much for this team, but honestly, who cares? It's just a little bit of comfort, and we don't need insane damage from our Yelan since we clear easily enough. And she is C0 and 1610 talents. When it comes to our furina, 61 crit, 200 crit damage, 173 ER, with Fav, and is on Golden Troop, just, you know, the regular type of furina build. Nothing's changed. C0, 2910 talents. And our Jean is on 206 ER and 52 healing bonus, just so that we can, just for good healing and good ER, and is on sack to achieve that, as well as 4-piece Redescent to sometimes give us some Hydro Red Shred. When it comes to our Neuvillette team, Neuvillette himself is on 44 crit, but this does go up to 70 crit rate. Oh, no, sorry, 80 crit rate with March to say, 217 crit damage, 125 ER to make up for the fact that our prototype Amber is only R3, is on 4-piece March to say, obviously, and C0 with 1088 talents, although he is not the main focus of this team. That would be the Hyper Bloom damage for the most part. Fully M build on our Nahida, like 40 crit, 70 crit damage, just for a little bit of extra sub DPS damage. Is on sack frags, is on Deepwood to get the Danger Red Shred for increased Hyper Bloom damage, is C0 at 210 talents. Then our Cookie is on 862 EM. This will increase thanks to the Gilded Dreams artifact set, plus the EM sword from the Inazuma event, and C5 with C1 and C2 being nice increases to AoE and uptime, and 197 talents, which doesn't really affect much. Then our Zhongli is on 54k HP, just a full shield bot build for a bit more extra comfort. On Black Tassel, on Tenacity, although it doesn't really affect our Neuvillette, C0 and 696 talents. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you can see that AYATO is still a good contender and is not obsolete thanks to Neuvillette. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, be sure to subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. See ya!